Part two of Guys on the Go this week. And if you're listening on the Getting There with Guys side, this label is a bonus episode. We're just talking about gambling. We're talking about wagering on sports. And I told you that the middle of May and at some points in past years, the mid to late April month was the best time to wager on sports. Better than March Madness, better than the Super Bowl, better than that first weekend of football in college and professional ranks. This is the best weekend. Maybe not so much about the sports that you root for, but the payoffs. If you're betting college football, the NFL, you're probably looking at lines and parlays and everything else. If you're looking at March Madness, you might be just wagering on your bracket. And if you're doing the Super Bowl, you might be doing prop bets. And all those things are a lot of fun, but I'm talking about the biggest payoff possible. And that involves a lot of future wagers in the NHL and the NBA right at the start before that true playoff round starts. Now, the NHL is completely underway. The NBA is the play-in now kind of wrapping up. We've got more than 75% of the bracket figured out. So let's start with this, though. And it's the best piece of advice I've ever been given when it comes to talking about sports gambling. It was this, and I'll use my guys, whether it's Sports with a Z and a T, host Bryce Zielinski. Make sure to check out their podcast. Again, Sports with a Z and a T. Or it's my guy Travis over on the Trav and Rigney show. Both those guys are huge Philadelphia Eagle fans. And I wouldn't be shocked if Trav or Bryce bet the Eagles to win the Super Bowl. And you listening might have a favorite team, and you want to win that bet because both the cash in your pocket and your favorite team. Don't forget to bet them to win the conference. As someone once explained to me, it's like leaving money on the table. If you bet the Philadelphia Eagles to win the Super Bowl, please make sure you bet them to win the NFC title. Put that bet first, and then the Super Bowl bet. No matter what, even if you planned on betting 20 to 25 bucks on the Eagles, just carve out 5. Yeah, it's a lot of fun winning the Super Bowl bet and everything else, but just don't leave the money sitting there because you're going to win both bets. Small thing like that. When you're betting on future wagers, make sure to bet on both. And if you're watching on our YouTube side, you've kind of figured out where this episode's going to go. And it's about covering your own butt when you're making some of these plays. As I broke it down here, I called it the $100 pyramid payout. So you work your way backwards to forwards. And we're going to use the Colorado Avalanche and the Brooklyn Nets for this scenario. And actually, I like both these bets when it comes to these teams. So the Colorado Avalanche are a minus 162 favorite to win the West Division. So of all the bets we're going to place when we're talking about that, I would place the most amount of money on that because it has the shortest odds. If anything, I'm not going to make back twice my money. We're going to see other underdog scenarios. We're going to have bigger payouts. But this scenario, I think, is the most likely to happen. So that reason I pay the most because I believe I'm going to see my payback. Same goes all the way through. And again, we're talking about the Avalanche winning the West Division, the Brooklyn Nets winning the Eastern Conference, the Clippers winning the West. And then we work our way down to the Avalanche winning the Stanley Cup and the Nets winning the NBA Finals. So, again, you kind of chop it up a little bit. And someone can say, guys, I don't like your Nets bet. I don't like your Clippers bet. I've sat and thought about these bets. I hate the Nets and I hate the Clippers. I don't like either one of them. I think Kawhi Leonard, his future in LA is still questioned, yet somehow he doesn't take the heat because he doesn't talk. He's a beast, a machine, whatever term he wants to use, the claw. Brooklyn has Kyrie, who seems like he doesn't even care about basketball for getting paid $33 million a year, with Durant complaining on Twitter and Harden getting fat. I'm not fans of either one of those teams. But if I roll out of basketball and you tell me who's going to score the most points, that's the Brooklyn Nets. They got 3 unbelievable. And Blake Griffin. They just got scorers that can't be stopped. And the Clippers have a nice draw in the West. I want to tell you I like the Utah Jazz, but what's their 1-8 or 4-5 matchup going to look like? And if you're the Phoenix Suns, you just got the Lakers in the first round, the Nuggets and the Blazers. It's just too much of a mess in the Western Conference. And I feel as if the Clippers have now put themselves in position to make the move out of there. So you bet the Clippers to win the West. You bet the Clippers to win the NBA Finals. And at some point, you piece these together. Now, you're probably wondering, guys, you really haven't told me anything that's shocking. Okay, you bet the conference winner and the regular future winner. Great. Cool. You really needed 2 episodes to tell me that? It's something different, though, that happened. So there I was I have this big piece of paper that's here. I actually got it ready. I actually still have it right in front of me. And I wrote this whole theory about why you have to do it this way and how that pyramid builds up, and you always have to cover yourself to make the most money as possible. So there I was getting ready to tape this episode, and I saw this thing called round robin betting. And I'm like, I wonder what that is. And as I read what round robin betting was, I realized there's 3 hours I'll never get back in my life because this entire theory I thought about, it already existed at some casinos you might play. So let's talk about what round robin betting is. For some of you, you have never heard this term until right now. Others have been using this over the last few months. So look, if you already know what round robin betting is, that's the rest of the podcast. You've already got the odds sitting right here. You kind of know what you're going to do. Good luck to you. For those of you who don't know what it is, this could change the way you bet completely going forward. Okay, so let's use this example again. Let's say, for instance, we want the Brooklyn Nets to win the East. We want the Clippers to win the West. And we want the Avalanche to win the Western Division. Okay? So because I feel confident in those three bets, I would bet them separately. But then at some point, I'd say, you know what? Let's put these all together. Now, look, let's say, for instance, the Nets don't win the East. Typical parlay, you lose your bet, you're done. However, in a round robin, if you do a 2-pick round robin, and a place like the Rivers Casino has this option, go 2-pick round robin, what it will do is you might have to pay a little bit extra, so be aware of the price you're actually dropping on this. It will give you every scenario with just 2 rather than 3. Hang with me. So again, you want to bet on 3 things: the Nets, the Clippers, and the Avalanche. But in this round robin scenario, you get a scenario where it's just the Nets and the Clippers. And you get a scenario where it's just the Avs and the Clippers. And then you get a scenario where it's the Nets and the Avs. You see what's happening now. So all these 2-team combinations have now been wagered for you. And some of you are already starting to get this, and the smiles are coming across your face. You're thinking, wait a second. So all those parlays that I lose by just one team, how many 4 or 5 or 16 parlays has been how big you make them during the season, especially for football fans? How often have you just missed by one team? Wouldn't you like to just make some type of money from those bets? Here you go with this scenario. If you have a 4-team parlay, you do a 3-team round robin bet. All right, give you the example for the 2-team round robin bet for 3 teams. Hopefully this is making sense to you. And I love it when it comes to the future wager market, because now you can play around with these combinations and make it happen. Somebody's probably thinking this, because I thought about this last year too. Okay, guys, here's what I'd do. I would just put in one of these combinations the Clippers to win the West and the Clippers to win the NBA Finals. That way I get paid twice in that parlay. Nice try. That's called a corresponding parlay. So in other words, most casinos have figured out you can't bet on something that would have to happen for the other event to happen to basically double dip. That can't happen. So don't try to be slick and wonder, well, I'm trying to bet the Clippers to win the West in the Finals. No. Most casinos would have figured that out. So that's what I've discovered. Round robin betting, and especially in the futures market, that if you can hit 2 of 3 or 3 of 4, cash in with bigger odds, and we're talking about plus 335. If you did one example we were just talking about there, where you did the Nets, the Avalanche, and the Clippers to win it all, you'd be looking at 10-1 odds. And I'm just giving you an example of favorites. You know, if you mix in teams like the Suns or the Maple Leafs, the Lightning, your odds can be so much bigger than this. That's the lesson we're learning here in this. It's that don't forget to leave that money on the table if you're betting future wagers, especially for championships, to bet the conference winner, and look more deep into round robin betting, especially in future wagers, so you can cash in even bigger than before. And as we sit here before the playoffs truly tip off in the NBA, and while there's still a lot of ground to be shifted in the NHL, those are the ways to make your money. Quick, simple, and easy. I wanted to make sure I separated this because I had this whole bracket. I had this whole pyramid. I thought this was going to take another 20 minutes, and I realized, okay, round robin betting's already a thing. Look into it, enjoy it, and especially for college football or the NFL, college football in particular, imagine you have two big underdogs. You want to bet on the money line and it hits. That might be the way you're making some serious cash this fall. And who knows? Maybe you want to get bold enough and take some long shots here in the NHL and NBA playoffs and watch a big payoff come to you. If it does, just say thanks, guys. Leave me a nice message on social media, and we'll go for there. All right, there's the bonus episode. Go back and remember this. You may not listen to this now in May, but you want to remember round robin betting, especially for the parlay fans, come this fall. Enjoy. Good luck. Again, my picks: Avalanche to win the Stanley Cup, Nets versus Clippers in the NBA Finals. Nets too good on offense. Clippers, great matchup. And then the Eastern Conference, I wanted to bet on either Lightning or the Maple Leafs. Don't feel great about that. I think the Maple Leafs, even though they got Stone Cold Austin Matthews, too much Cuse love for the Lightning and the defending champions. At least do it again. So there's my bets. Enjoy wagering. And remember this when you cash in your tickets.